What's going on, everybody? I'm Matt Harmon. Welcome to the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast, and it is a hell of a day to talk ball. We've got a big, fat Week 13 recap for you here. Chris Allen joins me in just a moment to go over not just every game that we saw here on Sunday, but we also dive into the holiday games, the Thanksgiving slate, the Black Friday performance. We got a ton of football to talk through here. Some great games, some awesome performances, and some total duds, to be quite honest. But before we get to all that, as always, we've got a solo Sunday Night Football recap here. And I thought this game had a little bit of dud potential here. And oh boy, I was wrong. This game was a real riot. Broncos 27, Commanders 26. The Broncos win the game in overtime. And I could not even get on this podcast to begin to explain what happened at the end of that game. Really the final, end of the fourth quarter into overtime. Couldn't even begin to put that into words. This game, I said on Twitter that this game went from a pretty normal showing of NFL football to drunk off its ass in real quickly. You know, when you're out with your buddies and everybody's doing fine, things are going good, kind of in separate areas of the establishment, the social establishment, whatever you want to call it. And you just you leave your buddy for a second, you come back and you're like, whoa. What happened to you? Who overserved you? That's what happened in this game here. It snuck up on me real quick that this game got real wild, real fast. Again, we went to overtime here. The Washington Commanders scored a touchdown. Terry McLaurin catches the touchdown to tie the game up in overtime. They go for two, which is the correct decision, of course, at this point in your season, this point in that game. You go for two for all the reasons that we all know. The defense is tired. You are not going anywhere this season if you're Washington. Just go for two, try to win that football game right there. That's what they do. They get the right play design. Jeremy McNichols open, but Nick Benito, what an awesome football player. He bats that thing down, and the game ends in almost kind of a flat way. Not a flat way. It was really exciting play, an awesome play by Nick Benito, but almost just so sudden. The finality to it was very sudden for a game that was so back and forth over the course of the last few moments of that game. Let's go through both sides of the ball here to decide what we learned in this one. And let's start with the Broncos here because we always start with the winners of the football game. In a weird way, I actually come out of this game not feeling all that great about anybody for Denver. They win another game. And look, I think the Broncos team is very good. I do think that, we'll see what Bo Nix looks like on a big stage against a really good team, when the lights are bright, all that deal. I don't think this was a clean Bo Nix game. He throws an interception to Bobby Wagner, who's basically a statue out there. I mean, on the big play that they got the 41-yarder to Evan Ingram, Bobby Wagner standing there in the middle of the field like a damn gargoyle. He gets completely toasted on that play, not even involved in the play when RJ Harvey pops in a touchdown there pretty much right afterwards. And that's Bobby Wagner. He's got no side-to-side, no lateral movement. They completely take advantage of that with the RJ Harvey run, and especially with the Evan Ingram juke route in that play in the middle of the field. Somehow that almost makes it look worse that Bo Nix just threw an interception to Bobby Wagner, who, again, does not move. He's just standing there like a gargoyle in the middle of the field, like he just forgot about him. I joked about it. You guys, if you hate yourself enough to have watched Game of Thrones Season 8, and look, let's be honest with ourselves, we all hated ourselves enough to watch that back then. I was hosting a Game of Thrones recap show for Yahoo at the time. What a coup that was. Totally different era of my life. Wow. That brought back memories. Anyways, Season 8, you remember when the creators of the show, what it was, Benny Hoff or whatever, said, explaining when, Dany lets one of her dragons get shot out of the sky. Euron's Iron Fleet just shoots one of the dragons out of nowhere. Their explanation on the show is, well, Dany just forgot about the Iron Fleet. That was Bo Nix basically just forgetting about Bobby Wagner on that play, throwing that interception. Crazy stuff. Anyways, those are the type of plays that Bo Nix is going to have to not make if his team wants to be a serious contender. But I think objectively, other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Other than that, though, I think this Broncos team is legit and has earned its record for the most part. That's just a question of what are they going to do in the postseason when they get there, because they are going to get there. And they're almost certainly hosting a playoff game at this point. They're going to win the AFC West. Maybe host multiple playoff games. You never know. But again, it's just like, what are they going to do when they get there? That's the Bo Nix discussion. But otherwise, I do think this is a really good team. So I'm not saying that I'm coming out of this game discouraged about Denver overall, because I do think Washington, when they're healthy on offense as they were in this game, has the potential to play a little bit of spoiler down the stretch. I'm not coming away from this too discouraged about Denver as a team. I am a little bit discouraged, or just maybe not as encouraged as maybe some of the fantasy point totals would have you feel about a guy like RJ Harvey, who scores 2 touchdowns, about Cortland Sutton, 62 yards and a touchdown in this one. Let me kind of explain that. I'm going to go bit by bit here. RJ Harvey, I think it is really encouraging that he got the goal line work. That's awesome to see. I still don't think we've seen enough from him to sort of say, hey, this is a solid rushing environment in which J.K. Dobbins was, kind of providing that grinder, steady approach that I think this team needs. I don't think that we've seen enough from RJ Harvey to kind of turn him into that guy just yet. We're looking at a player who isn't doing a ton after contact, 1.23 yards after contact per rush here. 23% of his yards go, 23% of his rushes go for 0 or negative yards in this one. But again, he scores the 2 touchdowns. He has 17 opportunities in this game. That's obviously encouraging. That's what you want to see. 75% of the team touches inside the 10-yard line. 5% of the team running back touches inside the 5. That's great. Again, that is good for RJ Harvey, but just 65% of the carries, 57% of the touches, still in a little bit of a timeshare there. That's fine. We can deal with him being a 57%er. I think that is a win. Maybe I'm overthinking this and the goal line stuff is good enough, but I think from a player perspective, I want to see a little bit more from RJ Harvey. So maybe, again, if you're devil's advocating against what I'm saying here, or if I can devil's advocate myself, that maybe you can be encouraged by Harvey here because you see the goal line carries. You do see him hold a pretty solid workload in terms of the rushing work, 65% of the running back rushes. That's really good. Again, we can totally live with that. But Adam Prentice kind of being involved in passing down work, don't really need to see that. He runs 7 routes in this game, 14 for RJ Harvey, 16 for Tyler Bidet. You got to kind of remove those guys from the equation to fully trust RJ Harvey as a kind of a high-end running back too. For now, he kind of remains a bit more touchdown or bust, honestly, in this sort of workload. And this was the matchup for him to take advantage of. It was absolutely the matchup for him. Going forward, we get the Raiders. That's a good matchup, most likely for him. Packers, Jaguars, Chiefs, Chargers to end the season. There's not as many other good spots. These next 2 weeks were the ones where he should really be taking off. So I do think it was encouraging to see Harvey pick up a big blitz late in the game to get Bo Nix the time to move and sort of throw a pass downfield. That was encouraging to see him get one clear pass blocking win in this one. Want to see more from that because I do think he needs to earn a little bit more work. In the passing game, again, Cortland Sutton was a guy that I was in on this week. I thought this was the right matchup to go back to him, and he does lead the team in routes. He's only targeted on 50% of the routes, though. And this target distribution, to use a Scott Pianowski phrase, looks like a freaking phone book here. We've got 11 guys, 11 guys getting targets in this game between the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends. It's just a lot of guys are involved here. That is kind of the Sean Payton way. And I will note one big change that we did see, and I'm excited about this. Pat Bryant runs 37 routes, 77% of the dropbacks, which is behind only Cortland Sutton. That was kind of Troy Franklin's role prior to this. We saw Franklin not play a lot of slot receiver. Pat Bryant, 52% snaps in the slot. Bryant got 7 targets. Franklin got 3. I think Franklin has a role and a solid number 3 receiver on a team. I think personally, Bryant can bring more to this team that they need. He did have 1 drop in this game. There's a lot of drops in this game too, by the way. He had a drop in this game. Was a bit of a sloppy effort at times for some of these Broncos pass catchers. Even Evan Ingram, who had 6 for 79, he had some rough moments from a drops perspective. But I think seeing Bryant sort of win in the ways that I think make sense for him. 3 catches, 42 yards, not going to get anybody going crazy in this one, but I think that's good to see for him. He's somebody I like to have in Dynasty. Certainly a player that it's that big slot role that I think this team has been looking for. the big slot play. Like Jerry Jeudy was never going to be a big slot, like a power slot for this team. But running dig routes over the middle of the field, out routes over the middle of the field, that intermediate area, Pat Bryant was really good in that. In his in-season reception perception rookie report, I'd like to see more of Pat Bryant. And again, that leads me to, now that there's another player that I'm kind of intrigued about on this offense, it's nice to see Courtland Sutton get the 60 yards and a touchdown. We haven't had many weeks where we can trust Courtland Sutton, but to get just 6 targets here, I don't think it's like, fully back Courtland Sutton here. I think he got a little bit overhated during the Troy Franklin experience when he was out targeting him. I think that was more of a cause of the chaos that Bo Nix was playing in and not being able to get the ball outside of the X receiver. But I didn't really see a lot of evidence that is going to change here. I do think Courtland Sutton is still the, quote, number 1 receiver on this team, but I don't know that he is a guy that is a real deal. He's a number 1, but he's more of like if this guy's your number 1, you can get away with it, as opposed to you feel really, really good about having this guy as your number 1 receiver. So, mixed reviews, I think, for some of these fantasy results for the Denver Broncos here. But overall, still really like the team. Like to see Pat Bryant trending in the right direction as well. He is certainly a rookie to monitor. Probably not a fantasy starter, but a rookie to monitor down the stretch for this Denver Broncos team. Let's flip it over to the Washington Commanders here. Really good performance, I think, from this Washington Commanders offense in a game where, you're still starting Marcus Mariota. You come out of the bye. Chris Rodriguez is your lead back, 11 carries for him, 6 for Jerry McNichols, 4 for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I mean, he if we get to a point where we need to take some players out of the coping corner for Washington, I mean, we can just say it's Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in the coping corner at this point. The other guys, though, in the Washington receiver room, having Terry McLaurin back and being the load-bearing player in this passing game, it just makes a world of difference for this Washington team. He is so good. He is a true number 1 receiver that moves the needle on the outside. 14 targets in this one. That is just, again, a big, big freaking development for this Commanders team, because I think their season was it was off course like right away, when he was not involved early in the season because he got in there so late because of the contract stuff. I hate that they did that with the contract. I'm sure Terry obviously was holding out for more money, but you just got to get that deal done. He's one of your most important players. I thought that was a little silly, but it is what it is. He gets on the field here. He only runs 58% of the routes, target on 44% of those. Like Marcus Mariota knew, even against a tough Denver Broncos defense, this is a guy that, he moves the needle. Again, he gets open against man coverage. Even a good secondary, he gets open against man coverage. He wins in those ways that just these other Washington receivers do not. Deebo Samuel's had a nice year, but he's more of a role player at this point to me, not somebody that can, be the load-bearing receiver of a good offense. It's good. I always love this meme that we're showing on the YouTube feed right now. Zach Ertz, obviously productive in this one. 10 catches for 106 yards. That's what you want to do against this Denver team. You want to attack them with the tight ends because you want to avoid some of those corners on the outside. But again, having McLaurin back there really matters a lot. He is a guy that got dropped in some of my leagues, and I actually picked him up in one of them, and shout out to me. I started him, and I might end up winning that matchup because of it. So again, good to see Terry McLaurin back there. Hopefully, again, 58% route participation. That trends up because some of the guys ahead of him, I think he can play over. One of them, though, got to give a shout out to Treylon Burks in this one. Unbelievable catch from Treylon Burks. One of the best catches of the season, even though today we had multiple best catches of the season contenders. Some bigger names, too. I mean, freaking Brock Bowers, Puka Nacua had, catch of the year candidates in this slate of games. And then Treylon Burks comes out here channeling his inner Odell Beckham with this pass in the corner of the end zone, catches it with one hand, extends backwards, brings it in. Great to see for Treylon Burks. That was awesome. Like, truly, I want to say that was awesome. As a longtime Treylon Burks skeptic, that was super cool to see. Let me establish that before I throw a big but here. But Marcus Mariota kept trying to catch lightning in a bottle maybe twice or 3 more times after that because he continued to target Treylon Burks on these like sideline plays and tight coverage. And guess how many other passes he caught on the night outside of that 5-yard touchdown reception. He didn't catch any. So it's just like, that's the thing here. We don't need Treylon Burks to be the load-bearing player. We need it to be Terry McLaurin. And when he is fully ramped up, I think that's going to make a big difference for this Washington offense. So I come out of the bye feeling a little bit better about this Commanders offense than I did certainly before it. I might get Jaden Daniels back next week. You can sit here and quibble with should Jaden Daniels even be out there. But as I said on the preview show, football players play football during football season per Bill Parcells via Tony Romo. Like that's the deal here. If he's healthy, he's going to want to go out there and play even if the season is over, just like Joe Burrow did for the Cincinnati Bengals. So there's very much a chance that we see Jaden Daniels at the captain's position of this offense, even though Marcus Mariota gave us a nice little effort here. So they play Denver this week. Then they get the Vikings in week 14, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles. I predict that the Eagles split with the Commanders at the very least. I think they get one of these games. As long as this offense is playing like this and Terry McLaurin is healthy, I think they can split with the Eagles and make one of those games just weird enough where an Eagles team that's really not playing its best ball right now, they steal one of those wins and just kind of muck things up for some of these teams down the stretch. Good to see Washington at a little bit closer to its full potential.